Hello, beautiful people. Happy Saturday, happy weekend. Welcome to your astrological forecast for next week. And I'm going to start with Happy Chinese New Year because as of today, we're entering into the year of Wooden Dragon. And funny fact, my mom was also born in a year of a Wooden Dragon. There are 5 elements and 12 zodiacal signs, and my mom is going to be 60 this year. So she was born exactly in the same sign. So anyway, now we're moving on from that. So today is Saturday. We just experienced the Aquarius New Moon yesterday. I already covered that in many videos, but it's important to mention that I feel that they are both very closely interconnected because Aquarius New Moon, we are seeing the Aquarian Age, is the first new moon in Aquarius with Pluto in Aquarius, so the beginning of Pluto's transit that will take place over 20 years time, and at the same time we are celebrating a Chinese New Year, new beginning in no other sign than Dragon, which is all about freedom and leadership and liberation. And also, apparently, it's associated with abundance. And we are in a year 8, which is the year of abundance, right? It's ruled by Saturn and Jupiter, and it is the year of manifestation. So anyway, let's just move on into the astrology. So today, the Saturday the 10th, we are actually experiencing the exact square between Mercury and Jupiter. Mercury is in Aquarius. It's telling us that we need to start thinking outside of the box and start perceiving reality in a very different way. And Jupiter is in Taurus. So what are we fixated on? What belief system? What perception of reality? What stories are we fixated on? And already early on this morning for me, for you guys in Europe, it already happened in the afternoon. Moon moved into the sign of Pisces, so yet another week we're going to be ending and a new week will be beginning with Moon in a mutable sign, this time sign of Pisces, endings, because always when there is a new moon or when there is a new year, it means something has just ended, a cycle has ended, so a new cycle can begin, and this is a cycle of life. This is how it goes in this reality where every time something will end, something new will begin. Open a door and create a space for something new. And today actually we are also experiencing Sun in Aquarius making a trine to Vesta in Gemini. Interesting. So tomorrow, Sunday 11th, there are no major aspects taking place. Only Moon is making a sextile to Uranus and also sextile to Venus, but this is to help us integrate all these energies of this new moon and also a new year. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people will be celebrating longer than a day. I believe in China, they celebrate for quite a long period of time from what I can remember when I was there last time. So anyway, Monday the 12th, as I mentioned, we will enter Monday with Moon in the sign of Pisces, but then Moon will enter into the sign of Aries. So new week, new beginning. And the same day we'll have the first crescent of the moon as well. And then on Tuesday, there's nothing else going on. I mean, my chart is proper. it's proper aspected, but there is nothing all happening generally. Just again, Moon making conjunction to Neptune and sextile to Pluto once it moves into the sign of Aries. Then on Tuesday, well, for me here, it's already Tuesday morning. For you guys on the Pacific side of the coast, it will be still Monday late night. But for everybody across the Atlantic and further, it will be already Tuesday. Tuesday the 13th, Mars will enter into the sign of Aquarius. And let me just check my notes. It will remain there until 22nd of March. And that's the day when Mars will move into the sign of Pisces. So right on time for the eclipses, right? So, okay, Mars is entering into the sign of Aquarius, February 13th, and on the same day, Venus is making her final sextile to Neptune, just as Mars was last week, and this is a preparation for the conjunction. And then on Wednesday, we are going to be having Mars making a conjunction to Pluto. So we already had Mercury made a conjunction to Pluto, and now Mars will be making a conjunction to Pluto. And I dive deeper into this because Venus also will be making a conjunction to Pluto. So Mars will make a conjunction to Pluto in Aquarius on 0 degrees and 46 minutes. And on the same day, Moon will move into the sign of Taurus. to solidify this energy. Then on Thursday, we'll have Mercury in Aquarius making a sextile to Chiron in Aries. And on the same day, Mercury will also make a sextile to North Node, because as we know, Chiron and North Node are on the top of each other. They are already in the same degree, just different minutes. The exact conjunction is taking place the next Monday on February 19th. Then on Friday the 16th, Venus will move into a sign of Aquarius, and Moon will move into the sign of Gemini. We're going to have to make a new choice, because Venus was squaring the nodes. The resolution node was the South Node in Libra, ruled by Venus, and then Moon is moving into Gemini. And on the same day, Mercury will make a square to Uranus, ruled by Venus, and Mercury is currently, so Uranus is ruled by Venus, but Mercury currently is ruled by Uranus because it's in the sign of Aquarius. So this is a crisis in consciousness, the last square before the conjunction, and that means that we need to release something in order for the cycle to end and a new cycle can begin. Then on Saturday the 17th, Venus, the last one of the personal planet, is going to conjunct Pluto in Aquarius on 0 degrees 52 minutes, which is the 7, and that is the number associated with Neptune endings. And then there is just Moon doing his thing as usual. And then on Sunday the 18th, Mercury in Aquarius will trine Vesta, and on the same day Moon will enter Cancer. So that will be for me here. For you guys, this is already Monday, so you will across the Atlantic still end the week with Moon in a Gemini, but for me here in Mexico, Moon will be in a sign of Cancer, which is the cardinal sign when we begin a new week. And Sun is also moving into the sign of Pisces. So Sun is moving very early this year into each sign. It's the zodiacal month is starting early, because Sun is moving fairly early on the 18th, and normally it's like 19th or 20th. Either way, Sun is moving into Pisces, which represents the beginning of Pisces season. So for me, this is on Sunday 18th. For you guys across the Atlantic and further away into the Asia and Australia, New Zealand, this will be already Monday for you. Potentially even Tuesday, but I think it's still Monday. So either way, on Sunday the 18th or Monday the 19th, depending where you are in the world, we will start the Pisces season, which is the last sign of the zodiacal wheel. Therefore, there are endings. There will be release. There will be letting go, because then we're going to start a brand new astrological year, starting with Aries season. And that will be, of course, alongside with the eclipses, right? So just last thing to mention, on Monday the 19th, we'll have the North Node Chiron conjunction. This is the first one since 2008, but I'm going to cover this into details next time, because there is a lot to talk about. And I literally even was looking at the charts and like thinking like, holy crap, so I need to record a separate video about Chiron North Node conjunction, because otherwise this video would be just far too long, and that conjunction is not taking place until Monday the 19th. Okay, so let's just dive into what's going on here. So as I mentioned, there are of course, Venus is sextile in Neptune. The exact conjunction between them will be in April, actually only a few days before the solar eclipse in Aries on 3rd of April, and that will be when Venus, as the ruler of the South Node, will conjunct Neptune, and the cycle will end. The cycle that began between the two of them last year in 2023 will end. So we can see all these endings. So we had New Moon in Aquarius, we have Chinese New Year, but at the same time, on the back of that, we are tying off the loose ends, right? So as I mentioned, we're going to have Mars-Pluto conjunction and also Venus-Pluto conjunction in the same week. But before I move there, let me just tell you about this Mercury sextile to Chiron and Mercury sextile to North Node, which is taking place on Thursday, because Mercury is going to conjunct Chiron 3 times. Because Mercury's next retrograde will be in Aries in April, starting from April the 1st. And Mercury will conjunct Chiron on the 20th of March, which is right before eclipses, on the 15th of April, which is right after the eclipses, and that's when Mercury is going to be retrograde, on the 6th of May. And I believe that was around the same time as the new moon in Taurus. Mercury is going to sextile the North Node only once, and that will be on the 18th of March 2024, so next month. So this is important because Mercury is how we identify reality. How do we perceive the world, which is what I started the video with, that today being the Mercury-Jupiter square, which is the crisis in consciousness, there is something that needs to be released in order for this old cycle to end and a new cycle to begin. What is this cycle? Is the transition from Pluto's transit through Capricorn into Aquarius fully, because as we know, this is the last year when Pluto will retrograde back into Capricorn, even though it will be only for 2.5 months from September until November, and that will be mostly for the eclipses, right? And Pluto also will have a conjunction with Venus, I believe, because I knew that there was one more conjunction between Pluto and the ruler of the South Node before Pluto moves fully into Aquarius. So anyway, that was just a complete side note. But yeah, with this Mercury Chiron triple conjunction between March and May, and Mercury North Node conjunction, and this is the last sextile. This is what we are experiencing on Thursday. Mercury to Chiron and Mercury to North Node sextile. This is the last one. So this is before, again, the cycle will end. And during the new moon in Aquarius, I was really pointing out how Mercury was in a new phase conjunction with Pluto, and I was going into depth in trying to explain how this new way of thinking, which is based on multidimensionality and being able to perceive reality through this vast vantage point where we just not look at what we can see, but we actually try to understand the higher perspective and also what actually is going on here, because our eyes can deceive us, because it's connected to our brain, and our brain is our it's limited by program. It's limited, like with the, like I said previously, I believe it when I see it. But with this Mercury in Aquarius square to Jupiter, it's saying, no, you need to believe it first, then you can see it. Because this old way of thinking, this non-Aquarian way of thinking, because this was the first Mercury-Pluto conjunction in Aquarius that took place last week, a week ago, which started the 20-year cycle of conjunctions between Mercury and Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. This is profound. This is profound because what's actually going on here, and I know I was really going on about this, that we realized throughout 2020 to 2022, when, Saturn had a conjunction with Pluto in Capricorn, and then Saturn moving to the sign of Aquarius, and during, what was going on in 21, 22, we had the Saturn going through the sign of Aquarius until March 2023, when we had the opportunity to realize what lost meaning, what is now restrictive, outdated, and what we need to release, because it no longer works, it no longer resonates, it served its purpose. And this is what I mean, we have to hold all these different vantage points and not just thinking about how, oh, this is so bad and now we are victims of circumstances because this all been done to us. It's about it served its purpose. There was a time when it served its purpose because human collective consciousness wasn't ready for this energy. And I mean, even like I was sharing yesterday in my practical application of astrology personal story share, the time has sped up so fast that many of us are struggling, myself included, to adjust to this faster way of everything happening so quickly, because our body needs to adjust, right? And things are happening too fast, and we, I'm not saying for everyone, but a lot of us struggle. So with this Mercury, it also will take time, because this was the first conjunction between Pluto and Mercury in Aquarius. It will take time for us to switch the gears, so to speak. So with this Mercury Chiron situation going on here, that is going to close the cycle of last year and a new cycle will begin. This is very important because Mercury is how we perceive reality, and whatever you think, whatever you believe, impacts what you're going to manifest, right? So, like I said, there will be 3 conjunctions between Mercury and Chiron between March and May. And this is all connected to eclipses and then new moon in Taurus. We need to believe in ourselves. However you want to perceive reality, it needs to come through your inner guidance, not the external world, which, like you've been talking about forever, about this South Node resolution node to the square, to the skip step, which was most of last year played by Pluto, and then we had the square from Mars Mercury conjunction, and now Venus to the nodes, and Venus is the resolution nodes ruler. So Venus, as I mentioned, will be moving into the sign of Aquarius on Friday. So this, of course, is connected to her making the last sextile to Neptune, just like Mars did previously. Mars made the last sextile to Neptune, closing of the old cycle, and then because Neptune is about closing of old cycles, it's about letting go of what no longer resonates, moved into Aquarius. Now Mars is going to conjunct Pluto, and the cycle that began between the two of them 2 years ago and start a new one. Venus is doing exactly the same thing. Mars is the ruler of the North Node. Venus is the ruler of the South Node. So this is where I want to dive really deeper. So one thing which I didn't actually know, because my understanding was that the last time Mars and Venus made a conjunction was in Aquarius, and so it was. But what I didn't realize, that last time Mars and Venus made a conjunction in Aquarius 2 years ago, only a month before in I've got it all written. So the first Mars-Venus conjunction of 2022, because Mars has a 2-year cycle. So Mars-Venus conjunction, and I mean the next one will be on the 22nd, actually, 22nd of February. Isn't that interesting? 22-2, and the last conjunction, first of the two, between Mars and Venus took place on the 16th of February 2022, right? We still have the 222 in there. And that was on 16 degrees and 53 minutes Capricorn. I know that this conjunction is not taking place until following week on the 22nd, but it's important to mention because of Mars conjunction to Pluto and Venus conjunction to Pluto. This is why I'm talking about it. Then they had a second conjunction on 6th of March 2022, so only like just over 3 weeks after that, and that happened on a 0 degrees and 2 minutes of Aquarius, and this is something I didn't know. I knew about this one in Aquarius. I didn't know they had a previous conjunction in Capricorn. The first one was Mars conjunct to Venus. The second one was Venus conjunct to Mars. Now, the other important thing to mention is that the last Mars-Pluto conjunction, so we're having one now on Valentine's Day, the 14th of February. I don't know, maybe very, very few of you somewhere, I don't even know if it's going to be Pacific Coast, but there could be someone who is still experiencing this on the 13th. But for majority of the world, it's happening on Valentine's Day. Mars-Pluto conjunction, the last one before this one, took place on 3/3/2022. So 3/3/2022, which is number 6. 3/3 is number 6, number of balance. Together it comes to number 12, which when we put together again, it's number 3, Jupiter, expansion. So the last Mars-Pluto conjunction took place on 27 degrees and 50 minutes of Capricorn, which is again 2 and 7 is 9 plus 5, 14. It's number 5, is number of change. So this was the last one between Pluto and Mars in the sign of Capricorn, because this new one is happening in a sign of Aquarius. So we can see how all these Capricornian cycles are ending. The last Sun-Pluto conjunction, which took place in January on the 29 degrees 59 minutes, like literally 1 minute away from the sign of Aquarius, just before Sun and Pluto moved into the sign of Aquarius. That was the very last conjunction between Sun and Pluto in our lifetimes. Now we had Pluto and Mars conjunction in Saturn, the last one that already took place in 2022. And now we have in the first one in the sign of Aquarius. So the cycle of that conjunction between Mars and Pluto is ending this week. This 2-year cycle is ending this week because there is a brand new cycle beginning. There is already a new cycle that has begun between Mercury and Pluto. We need to start thinking differently. With the Mars in Pluto, we need to start acting differently. We need to, because Mars is the ruler of the North Node, and the North Node is in Aries. It's saying we are literally entering into a completely different world. We are entering into a completely different world that we have never experienced before, right? And in order to do that, we need to become courageous and brave and be our own leader, which is what this card number 8, strength, is talking about. We need to learn to trust ourselves. We need to trust our Taurus, our resiliency, survival, that everything that you need is within you. Again, with the Jupiter in Taurus, Jupiter expands whatever it touches. So whether you believe you can or you can't, either way, you're right. So also the last Venus and Pluto conjunction took place in the sign of Capricorn on the same day, 3rd of March 2022, 3/3/222, 3/3/6, 2226, right? So Mars conjuncted Pluto and Venus conjuncted Pluto on the same day. I mean, there was only 1 minute, 27 degrees 50 minutes for Mars, 27 degrees 51 minutes for Venus of Capricorn. This is also ending this week on the 17th. And then the last conjunction between Venus and Pluto after that, because Venus moves faster than Mars, she completes the cycle within 1 year. So there was a conjunction between Venus and Pluto on the same day as last Mars-Pluto conjunction, which was March 2022. But Venus had one more conjunction with Pluto since, because Venus, like I mentioned, she moves faster, which was on the 1st of January 2023. So that was only a year ago and a bit. And that was on 27 degrees and 40 minutes of Capricorn. 2, 7 is 9, plus 4 is 13, number 4. Number 4 is the number of Saturn, is the stability. So this was the very last conjunction between Venus and Pluto, and the effect of this is ending now, this week, again. Because we are closing the cycle of the Capricornian energy from the old viewpoint. The energy of Pluto's transit through Capricorn, which began in 2008, and by this point, and that's actually very interesting because that was the last North Node Chiron conjunction. That also took place in 2008, but like I said, I want to talk more deeply about that in my next video. So what have we learned? What did we discover, especially since Pluto Saturn conjunction in Capricorn, and then Saturn's transit through Aquarius, ruled by Uranus, which is where Pluto is now, right? And Uranus just squared this new moon in Aquarius, which was the crisis in action, and it's saying we need to take an action, we need to make some change, we need to create some change. And Mars is how Pluto acts consciously. Now, Mars as the ruler of the North Node, which is our evolutionary potential, where we're going into something completely different. New cycle, North Node in Aries, Chiron in Aries, right? There is a new beginning. And Venus is the ruler of the South Node. Now that Venus has been squaring, well, she's coming out of that square. She was squaring the South Node during the last new moon in Aquarius. Well, she was squaring both nodes, but the resolution South Node ruled by Venus in Libra, which is the other. And we need to create a world where the other and us are equal, which is not a world we are experiencing right now. It's not how we were being conditioned to believe that it can be. We were being told that this is not possible, right? Which is why Mercury is squaring Jupiter today. Like, who said that? We need to go beyond. We need to think beyond. We need to see things through this new lens, which is the lens of Aquarius, which is this humanitarian archetype that says that if you connect with your heart, you can go beyond anything you've experienced before, because your higher self will be co-creating that reality with you, rather than, the other aspect, the shadow aspect, Aquarius, which is this complete detachment. That I'm an alien, I don't belong here, I don't fit in here, nothing to do with these people, nothing to do with me. So anyway, I wanted to say these important dates because this is really profound. And during all the time, 2022, even 2023, beginning of 2023, where Venus made a conjunction to Pluto for the last time on January 1st, 2023, Saturn was still in the sign of Aquarius. Saturn didn't move into Pisces until March 2023. So for all these conjunctions, which I just mentioned, March 2022, Mars to Pluto, Venus to Pluto, and also the first one between Mars and Venus of the two of 2022, because then the second one, of course, was in Aquarius. Saturn was in Aquarius. So it was showing us what is now outdated, what doesn't work. So that takes us to today, to this day, to the week where we are having all these aspects. And Uranus is making a final square to Mercury is making a final square to Uranus. He is ruled by, because Mercury is still in the sign of Aquarius, and that's on Friday. On the same day, Venus is moving to the sign of Aquarius on Friday the 16th, because she's going to have a conjunction with Pluto a day later. So on the same day, Mercury is making a square to Uranus. Mercury today is making a square to Jupiter. Both Uranus and Jupiter are currently still ruled by Venus, because they are in a Taurus. So what is this telling us? Well, we are being challenged and we are being woken up and fractured and brought inwards to realize that the reality that we are going to be creating depends on how much you believe in yourself, how much you trust yourself, how much you see yourself as someone that actually has that agency and the power to influence, to manipulate reality, to influence life, right? So with this Mercury square to Uranus, which I said is the last quarter square, the closing square before the conjunction that actually between them two is going to happen on the 30th of May. Yeah, 30th of May on 24 degrees and 8 minutes of Taurus, which again comes to number 14, right? Number 5. Again, another change. So yeah, so this is, and again, both Mercury is ruled by Uranus and Uranus is ruled by Venus, and only a day later, Venus will conjunct Pluto. I mean, I don't know, I'm maybe not explaining this correctly, but this is a last quarter square between Mercury and Uranus. Last quarter square. Uranus is the ruler of Mercury and Uranus is ruled by Venus, right? So it's connected to Venus. It goes back down to Venus, and Venus is the ruler of the south node. What do we need to move away from? We cannot completely forget it ever existed because it brought us where we are at, right? It made us who we are. Venus, South Node in Libra. Yes, the world impacted us. It shaped us, right? But now this way of living, it lost meaning. It's no longer working. It was a square. Square needs to be resolved because otherwise there is all this opportunity for growth that is not manifested, right? Like that's why squares feel so uncomfortable, because that's universe telling us that, okay, now we need to move on. We need to break free because there is a growth on the other side of this. So there needs to be a change that takes place. So with Mercury making a square to Uranus, and only a day later, Venus and Pluto, that are both ruled by Uranus at that stage, because Venus is moving into Aquarius on Friday, the day before, they're going to have a conjunction. And that's saying that the cycle that began between the two of them in January 2023, when Saturn was the ruler of the both of them, because the conjunction happened in Capricorn, that cycle is ending. So this is why this new moon in Aquarius was so profound. It was not just any new moon in Aquarius, it was the first new moon in Aquarius with Pluto in Aquarius. And this is where we can see, when we observe all these patterns with all these planets, that everything that's taking place, like I said, even this sextile between Mercury and Chiron is the closing sextile. Everything is the closing sextile. The sextile that took place between Mars and Neptune last week and Venus and Neptune this week, that's a closing sextile. Is the last sextile before the conjunction. As I keep saying, conjunction of any planets, it doesn't matter what there is, or even asteroid, it doesn't matter. Any conjunction where two bodies meet means, like celestial bodies, means that a cycle is ending between them, the cycle that began last time the two conjuncted, and now a new cycle is beginning, a new meeting point. So for example, like if you haven't seen your friend for a while, and then you're gonna meet for a coffee, you're gonna pick up where you left off from the last time, and at the same time you're going to start story of what you're gonna be talking about. This is not a good explanation, but so when you meet with someone and you haven't seen them for a while, you remember who they were last time you met them and what they told you and stuff. So now you're meeting them, you start in a new cycle between the two of you, because then you can say, oh yeah, I saw this person today. So this new cycle between the two of us started today because I saw you today. And the cycle that was when I saw you last time a month ago, that cycle just ended because I just saw you today. So this is a new cycle. So this is like that with every single of these planets and asteroids and new moon, full moon, which is the sun and the moon. They are the luminaries. They represent the closing of the cycle that began in the same sign, and a beginning of a new one with regards to the new moon, just as we had the new moon in Aquarius. And now we can see how all these planets are culminating. They all culminated, apart from Mercury already having had its conjunction to Pluto last week. So Mercury is in a new phase. Mercury is in a new phase with Pluto. It's saying that, yes, we are seeing this new perception of reality, of how we see world, how we are experiencing it, because the old way the Capricornian way, and this is the Capricorn in a lower vibration, where somebody wants to be the boss of you, which you with the kids with Pluto in Capricorn, especially if they're little ones, they will tell you, you're not the boss of me. You can't tell me what to do. And I just had a reading with someone and she has few of those, and she said they're very good at setting up boundaries. Pluto Capricorn children, the ones born after 2008, they are very good with setting up boundaries, because these kids are reincarnated souls of leaders of previous times. Capricorn, the authority. So they remember, like, no, you can't tell me what to do. I know who I am. This is the boundary. And this is what we're learning. So Capricorn from the lower vibration, which is this, that I'm your boss. I tell you what to do. I don't care what you have to say. That's ending. That's ending. To live on in the world. This is the whole concept. How these planets are telling us this is happening. This is the step-by-step process. Okay, now we need to start thinking differently, act differently. Our relationships towards ourselves and towards one another, that all has to transform. It all has to completely change. And this is with regards to the same theme. We are birthing a new world. We are birthing a new life on this planet that will be very different. It will be coming through the Aquarian lens, which, yes, in a low vibration can be complete opposite. It can be completely detached. Like I said, it could be like nothing to do with me, where, the old civilization self-destructed because they got disconnected. They've gone too much into their ego mind and decided I'm the God. And we all are. But we are gods when we are co-created with the universe. So that's why the ego self, the mind and the heart, the higher self, needs to be connected. There has to be a balance between the Leo and Aquarius. There has to be a balance. Because if there is in balance, then it can lead to narcissism or complete disconnection. Like, no, nothing to do with me, right? And this is how people can do atrocious things, because they feel disconnected, because they lost themselves in the process of their human experience, right? So anyway, so with the Saturn and Capricorn in a lower vibration, it's like this. I'm gonna tell you what to do. Is that the totalitarian system where somebody else is telling you that I am gonna give you the rules. Treat you like a child, yeah? Cancer. Treat you like a child, like you need to be parented, you need to be told what to do. Whereas in a higher vibration, you are your own Capricorn. You are your own authority. You decide, because Capricorn is the creator. Capricorn is the manifester. I mean, Leo is the energy that creates, because it's the fire, but Capricorn is that gives it the body. It manifests, right? Because the fire is the fire of creation and inspiration, but we need to turn it into tangible, to be able to experience it through the three-dimensional human body. Because, yes, you need to believe it to see it, but then you want to also touch it and smell it and taste it, because this is what the human experience is about, to have a life through the senses, right? At least at this stage in our human evolution. That also is going to change, but at this stage in our human evolution, where, we are still dense, this is how it is at the moment. Anyway, people can correct me if they don't agree. It's fine. Like I always say, this is just my perception of reality that I'm sharing here. I'm not saying it's the universal truth. But with all this ending of the cycles that began in Capricorn, Pluto's transit through Capricorn, last conjunction between Pluto and all the other planets in Capricorn, now that's shifting. Because we already had the first conjunction of Pluto with Mercury. This week, on Valentine's Day, we're going to have a conjunction of Mars with Pluto in Aquarius. And then following that, later on the week, on Saturday, on the 17th, we'll have Venus conjunction Pluto in Aquarius. And Venus and Mars are very important because they're rulers of the nodes. Mars is the ruler of the North Node. Venus is currently the ruler of the South Node. Before that, Venus was the ruler of the North Node. Mars was traditional ruler of the South Node in Scorpio. But in evolutionary astrology, modern astrology, we use Pluto. So this is why this conjunction is so important, because North Node is our evolutionary potential, and it's in Aries. Aries is saying about completely brand new beginning. We are creating a world where from the higher vibration, there will be justice, there will be equality, it will be a higher consciousness, different way of thinking, where we will be considering, okay, how is this impacting the other? How is this impacting the planet? But not from the place of disempowerment and victimhood and, like lashing out at yourself and judging yourself for like, oh yeah, I'm not good enough, all that, and there is no shame in that, because we all been conditioned by that. We all came from the same dough, in a sense, right? Because that was the time we lived in. But now we're transmuting that energy, because we are entering into completely different times, and these conjunctions that are happening one after the other are closing the cycles of the past. Saturn, as the ruler of Capricorn, is in Pisces. Saturn is in Pisces. Venus, now while she was squaring the nodes, she was ruled by Saturn. She was in Capricorn. Venus was squaring the nodes from the point of Capricorn during the new moon in Aquarius, resolution of South Node in Libra. South Node in Libra is a cardinal sign, which is saying that there has to be a change. There has to be a change with regards to this South Node. This South Node, which is saying that, oh yeah, well, there is not much justice going on in the world at the moment, is there? Because even between two people, like relationships, how many people can say they are in a completely equal relationships with their partners, friends, and stuff? Usually there is some kind of, imbalance most of the time, that, oh yeah, I need you for this, you need me for this. It's not exactly like, in many cases, and again, what do I know about relationships? But in many cases, it's not equal. Like majority of relationships we are experiencing in our lives are not equal. They're hierarchical. And this is what's changing. Venus was in Capricorn when she was squaring the nodes during new moon in Aquarius, and Saturn is in Pisces. It's saying this has to end. This lost meaning. Now the cycle of Pluto-Venus and Mars-Venus conjunction, Pluto-Venus, Pluto-Venus and Mars and Pluto conjunction that last happened in Capricorn is ending. That cycle is ending this week. It's finished. And of course, as I mentioned, there was a second conjunction between Mars and Venus that happened already in Aquarius in 2022. So they're just going back to that now. They're going back to that now and going deeper into it, because now it's 46 minutes, I believe. Last time it was on 2 minutes, and 2 is like, it's like the duality, right? It's also in a numerology, 2 represents moon, which is like, well, it's not yet to be seen. We need to resolve the past first, and on an accelerated rate as well. But now it's, where do I have, I don't have it written here, but I'm pretty sure it was on 46 minutes. Let me see my calendar. Venus-Mars conjunction, no, 38 minutes. Oh, even better, number 11. Anyway, I'm going to cover that next week. I don't want to confuse myself here, but either way, it's happening in Aquarius. It's happening in Aquarius with the influence of both of them already have had conjunction with Pluto in Aquarius the week before, like I said, on the 14th and 17th. So this is huge. This is huge. Like literally this, we are creating a new history as we speak. This is like, it's a no joke, it's a no joke. Like literally people think, people just looking at these experiences we are having right now, and I'm not quite sure if people are really comprehending what's going on here. Like, yes, there are a lot of things to, to be concerned about. I'm not gaslighting our human experience over here, like 100%. Yeah, there are things that are concerning, right? But then there are so many things which are exciting, because it's like, okay, well, when something ends, something new has to begin. Because universe always will fill the empty space. Like that's the nature of things. When there is an ending, there is always a new beginning. We can see it with the new moons, new moons, new years. There is a new season, old season. There is always something replacing the old. Even like when people, get married, the cycle of them being single has ended and is replaced by cycle of them being married. When somebody becomes a parent, the cycle of them being non-parent has ended, and there is a new cycle beginning, them being parent, right? So there is always everything is cyclical, and it's all a spiral, because we're trying to go, to the next level as a soul, because we want to grow and evolve, right? So with all these aspects, like literally, guys, it's like, it's just me, like a parrot in myself over here, repeating myself. But we start this is just too funny. We start in the week with moon in Pisces. We are ending the week with sun in Pisces. Seriously. And I mean, between the two Pisces, Moon and the Sun, we're gonna have Venus, Pluto, well, Mars, Pluto first, and then Venus, Pluto conjunction, preparing us then for the Mars and Venus conjunction that will take place the following week on the 22nd, right after the Chiron North Node conjunction. Chiron North Node conjunction. Chiron is the wounded healer, you know. So it's saying that no, we have to heal these wounds of the past because there is a brand new future opening up for us. And this is all entering into Pisces season, which is the season of letting go, because the cycles of the past are ending. It's literally, as I already shared, this is exactly what happened with me in 2022. Yeah, in 2022, November 2022, when I had, this massive shift in my life, right? Where right after the full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus over here with the North Node in Taurus, my life was turned upside down, where my relationship ended, my job ended, my place of living ended, it became unavailable. Everything happened in 1 week. Everything. 1 week after the Taurus, my life looked very differently. And 1 month later, I was in Mexico. Single, jobless, all the rest of it, and started my, thing as an astrologer. So this is where the universe shut the door in your face. Literally, where there is no forward movement, exactly where you are, from the same place. You cannot go any further. Literally imagine that somebody just shuts the door in your face and saying, you cannot go this way anymore. It's finished. Or I don't know, there is an earthquake and then the earth splits and we cannot get to the other side or something, whatever, something big, which we cannot ignore. We cannot go oh, sorry, I didn't notice. Meh, I could just carry on. Well, I did notice, this was big. So this is literally what we're experiencing collectively right now. The universe is shutting the door in our face with regards to Capricorn. It's saying, no, this served us. Yeah, it served us. It wasn't comfortable. It wasn't necessarily enjoyable the entire time, someone telling you how to live your life, who to be, how to have relationship, what is your purpose of your life, what you expect it to do, how to think, what to believe, the rest of it, made life comfortable, didn't it, Taurus? Our basic needs were met, but now Uranus is in Taurus, and Uranus is ruler of all this stuff going on, Mercury conjunction Pluto, obviously in Aquarius. We just had new moon in Aquarius, squared by Uranus, crisis in action, changes coming. And now we have in Venus, Mars moving into Aquarius next week, having a conjunction with Pluto, then having a conjunction with one another. Right after North Node, the potential and Chiron had a conjunction, and right before the full moon in Virgo, learning and adjusting, and hero's journey, and having the illumination, what that means for us. So that's what I mean, Uranus is Taurus is no, sorry. This is not going to work anymore because we are in Aquarius age. We cannot depend on someone else to be our mom and dad. I mean, obviously, we all need mom and dad when we are children, and we'd like to keep them in our life as long as we possibly can. But there is a point in your life where you decide, no, I need to make my own choice and live my own life. And I cannot always keep doing what somebody else is telling me because now I'm my own person. This is literally what's going on for the world, where we are realizing that no, I'm not a kid anymore, and I need to take a responsibility to create the life I want to be experiencing. And, yes, I can co-create it with other people, but I'm not going to lose myself and adjust myself to what somebody else is wanting or expecting or believing that I should be believing. This is literally people stepping into their own power, literally stepping into their own power without any negotiation anymore. It's non-negotiable. It's not oh yeah, you get this and then you're gonna be free. How can freedom be conditioned by you doing something to deserve a freedom? That doesn't work. It's oxymoron. If somebody tells you need to do something in order to be free, it's not freedom. Because freedom doesn't have conditions of us doing something for it, right? I mean, this is when it's meant to come from someone else. This is where it's meant to come from someone else. Like, you are inheritedly free. We were all born free. We were all born sovereign. And now we are just awakening into the understanding what it really like represents, what it means, like what it obtains. So with all these aspects that are taking place, and then we enter in Pisces season, it is this entire year, it's about beginnings and endings, because we can see how all these doors are shutting in our face from every single angle, whether it's our purpose, our relationships, our, I don't know, we don't know what's going to happen with the financial system. And I don't do mundane astrology, so I'm not going to talk about it because I don't know what I don't know, but I just know the energy, and the energy is that things are changing and new things are going to be birthed. So this is where, it's not like I'm not concerned, but I'm not going to start living my life and now, go into complete paralysis. But this is me, and I know it's hard for some people. Like I said, I have a very unique situation where I'm not married and I have no kids, and I can just go where I want. Like, obviously still dependent on system to a certain extent, but I don't have dependees. And that's usually the most deciding factor in many people's life. Even if they don't do what they do for themselves, they do it for the people they love. And I, like, yes, I have family, but I don't have my immediate family. So anyway, so what I just started saying is that I am not losing hope and faith, and I am not feeling like, oh, this is it, it's over, that's it, the whole system is going to pack up and there is nothing new to replace it at the moment. But there always will be something to replace it, always. And this is where we understand the cycle of life and how universe operates. This is where we go from the strength to the star, the number 17 card, which is the hope for the future. The Aquarius, it's like this, like, rebirth, right? It comes after the tower. So this is where we're heading, like, yes, there's gonna be some instability for sure. Like, I have no, like, seriously, I don't know how this is gonna impact anyone, myself or my family included, but I know that on the other side of that is this better future for everyone, because the way the world is at the moment and the way we are operating and the way we are even, like, relating to one another, it's not sustainable. It is not healthy, really, right? And this is where I know that I shared the link for Teal Swan's video yesterday, but she actually published another one today, and I highly recommend to watch it. I mean, she just makes things so easily understandable, and what she's talking about is literally the astrology of today. Like, she's so tuned in. Like, I don't know if she's an astrologer herself or she has one but she is always covering perfectly what is going on. So in this video, which I'm going to link below, from Teal Swan, is the one she just released today. I watched it this morning, and she really is talking about this, the dysfunctional relationships. I mean, she's focusing on the romantic relationships, which probably majority people will resonate with if they watch it. It's not long. Again, it's like 16 minutes, I believe. A lot of people will resonate with what she's talking about, because most of us found ourselves in similar, if not the same, situations and scenarios. And this is where she's really trying to explain through the romantic relationship, because, that's what she's mostly focusing on. But, microcosm, macrocosm, macrocosm, microcosm, we are being impacted by the world, and the world impacts us. And she perfectly in this video describes the Venus square to the nodes, with the resolution, the South Node, ruled by Venus, right? And now Venus is just about to move into Aquarius and have a conjunction with Pluto and close the cycle of the last year that began in Capricorn. So this is what I mean. It's just so profound. The times we are living in right now, it is so profound. Like, yes, it's not comfortable because it's unknown, and the ego, like I said many times, the ego wants to know, it wants to control, it wants to go into database and go like, oh, okay, this is what happened last time, so this is what we need to do because we need to survive. Because the ego is trying to protect us, but now we are in a time where the ego has to collaborate with the higher self. Because we're going beyond. Survival is not enough anymore. We didn't come here to survive. We weren't born into 21st century of Aquarius Age with Pluto in Aquarius to survive. This is not what we were born for. We came here to expand, grow, evolve, and thrive, and realize who we really are while we're in a human form, and use our gifts and our unlimited potential to create the reality we want to be experiencing. So that's why we are creating a very different world, very different world. And in order to create that world, we first need to, like I said before, see the consequences and manifestation of the choices that represented the old world. It's not because we need to be like all, dumb it all and just completely reject all of it, but to see if you keep going this way, this is what you're going to be creating and experience more of. Now, the difference is that because of the energies, the universal energies, and also because the entire universe is evolving with us, multiverse. It's not like we are the only ones, like, oh yeah, this humankind is going through this transformation and, like they have all this new thing ahead of them. No, this is the entire multiverse. Like all the beings, everything is continuously growing and evolving. The source is growing and evolving. Nothing is ever stagnant, right? So because of the energies, the universal and multiversal energies, we don't have choice. Okay, the eclipses are going on in Aries and Libra. There is no full moon lunar eclipse in Aries, as I mentioned multiple times, because we don't know what will be the final result of this. The future is not set. Okay, the future is not set, and it's also because people are going to be choosing their timelines, right? So it's not going to be the same future for everyone. And not everybody is going to be experiencing all these futures. It's just like what you tune into. But the point is that we are going ahead. The world is going ahead. The evolution is going ahead. So this is where we don't have a choice anymore, because universe is shutting the door in our face. It's saying you can choose where you want to go from here, but you cannot go here. So it's literally the door is shut. You cannot go to that room. The room or wherever the door is leading you, you cannot go there anymore. That's not available. But you can choose multiple other things. Ooh, that's me banging my hand. You can choose whatever else you want. It's just not this. So literally, this is it. So the world we've been experiencing to this point, the life we were having to this point, and the society we were operating to this point, that is not available anymore. That is finished. We can see it very clearly in astrology. All these cycles are ending. They all ending now in a real time. And we have much more clarity with Capricorn full moons, Aquarius full moons, and then of course Pluto will have one more retrograde into the sign of Capricorn from September 1st or 2nd, depending where you are in the world, until November 19th. So this is where this is literally like we have the last of it, but then the door is shut. It's like this is shut, we're not going that way anymore, and now you have multiple options where else you want to go, and where else you want to go depends on you. You decide, which is why this year is so strongly Saturnian, Capricornian, because it's the year of us becoming our own creator, our own conscious creator, our own authority. And all these aspects, all these transits, all these lunations, they are just bringing us closer to it step by step. So that's why we always have time. Things are speeding up, things are happening very quickly, but we always have time for integration. Even now, okay, we have 2 days of no major aspects happening, Sunday and Monday, so we have a little bit of a time, right? And like I said, like what I started with, there is no coincidence that at the same time we are experiencing a new moon, a Chinese new moon in a dragon. Why not in a different sign? Why all this? And this is just blows my mind every time I say this. If people don't believe, if you understand astrology or any of these mystical tools, how can you not believe? Seriously, how can we just randomly be having all this that is happening astrologically, just completely randomly, at the same time as Chinese New Year in dragon? Come on, in a dragon, right? Like, what is dragon? Dragon is the creature that lives just right behind the veil, together with fairies and and unicorns and wizards and all the rest of them, right? Which we say those are not real. They are not real. They are just for fairy tales. But who says? Who says that is the story we were being told? Like, it's all just stories. You decide which one is true, right? But dragon, it's a powerful being. It can master all the elements, right? It represents all. I mean, it throws fire, and it can it can fly, it can walk, it can be in the water, it can do all of it, right? It contains all the elements, and is in the wood, which is that bringing it into. Sorry, it's the noise outside of my window. I don't know to which extent it's disturbing this video, but this is Mexico for you. You cannot, you cannot control. You cannot control. So anyway, so this is because it's in the wood. It's the earth. We need to bring it out to earth. So this is where this year will be. Bringing it down to earth. We'll be changing this. We'll be changing this energy into something tangible. It's no longer just will be behind the veil, like, oh yeah, it is there, but it's not accessible, but it actually will become tangible because we are going to be creating it. Okay, I had to pause it because it was really taking me out of the flow. It was really disturbing me, this noise. But anyway, I need to wrap this video because it's already 55 minutes in, and yeah, I really don't have much more to add because, like I said, I'm going to dive into the Chiron North Node conjunction in the next video, and this, then will be leading us towards the full moon in Pisces, full moon in Virgo, right? Full moon in Virgo is the next lunation. So yeah, there is all this is in play. All this is in play for us, and it's all happening. It's all happening, starting to happen this year because Pluto is becoming, fully homed in Aquarius in November. It's not going out of there until 43. So yeah, so we are creating history in a real time as we speak. We are creating a brand new world, and it's scary because it's something that we don't know, and we don't know what to expect, and we don't see the new straight away created to replace the old. But it's exciting at the same time because when something ends, something new has to begin. There has to be something to replace it, even though that at the moment we don't see both. It's not like, oh yeah, you can choose this or this. We have to trust because we are creating it as we speak. We are creating, but in a sense, if somebody just gave you a blank canvas and said that, okay, you can create whatever reality you want, just draw it. Just draw your new life. I mean, like, yes, for some people that might be even scary. What if I make the wrong choice? And this is where you have to trust yourself, right? You have to trust yourself. But in a sense, this is what it is for the world, and for each and every single one of us. We are being given the clear canvas because we are starting to understand in our personal lives, just like I shared my story yesterday. We are becoming more and more aware, faster and faster, of where we cannot go on the same way anymore because it just doesn't work, right? So imagine that, yes, these things that don't work, they are going to be, the door is going to be shut, right? So then you're gonna have to choose a different one. But in a sense, it's like, it is liberating. I mean, at least that's how it feels to me, that it is liberating, because then it's like, okay, well, there is this unlimited potential of things you can choose from, unlimited amount of things you can choose from. You can choose whatever you want. It's just like I said, this Jupiter in Taurus, and today Mercury is squaring the Jupiter. This Jupiter in Taurus, it can be very attached. It can be very attached to the comfort zone, to this, like, yeah, but this is what mattered to me. This is where I invested myself. This is who I was. This is what I believe that I am. But Venus is the ruler of Jupiter. She's having a conjunction with Pluto next week in Aquarius. She's saying, well, but this is not going to be the story anymore, because most of that which we've been experiencing until this point has been created by other. Well, I mean, we created it. We all created it, but subconsciously, because we didn't know we had a choice. We just thought this was all there was, right? Because everybody's doing it. Right? Because everybody's living like that. Well, not so much anymore. And it's going to be even more and more so, because now the source wants to expand through individuated beings that are free. and living from the place of heart and able to create reality consciously based on what they want. It's going to be like a magicians, you know, we all gonna be magicians, and you know, like, but we have to be responsible magicians, because we want to use the magic and the gifts in a you know, like a way that is serving everyone, is serving us and is serving others. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna leave it at that because I'm kind of being taken out of my flow, but the noise out of the window. So perhaps universe is saying that, okay, it's enough. You should just shut it now. So happy new Chinese year, everyone. That's why I picked the dress, because I heard the green, the yellow, and the red, even though the green looks like teal on the camera, but it is green. These are apparently the colors of abundance. So, okay, here we are. And I'm sure that this energy of this dragon is actually going to be very auspicious for us, because, you know, if you believe it, you will see it for sure. All you need to do is just trust in your strength, trust in your power, because this dragon, I'm sure he has no doubt. He knows exactly what he can and can't do. So anyway, you know, I'm just gonna go now. So I wish you all a beautiful rest of the weekend. Have a great week ahead, and I'll speak to you again next week. Much love, everyone, and bye for now.